Hey guys, welcome. This is Mean Nerdo. That's what we're calling it. That's right. We're gonna go with that for right now and see if it sticks. The story I have behind that name is that back in high school there was this dude. If I can try and remember, I think he was. You might have known him too. His name was Eddie. Eddie was like this normal cat, right? Like just this kid who was our grade, I think. He later then got jumped into a gang, into Otay. And so he became a gang member, right? And but we always knew him as Eddie, just like, okay, this guy is like just this kid. And but then he became like, he started slicking his hair back, all like he went all for it, right? And from there, dude, it was just like a transformation, right? Like a comic book character, dude. Like, I mean, he se transformó, cabrón. And yeah. And so he started picking on us, right? I don't know where it even came up, but he would just like kind of bash on us, on like me and whoever I was hanging out with. I think it was George. But he had this little saying. He would be like, dumb. He would talk like that, like, órale, like. And then all of a sudden he said, mean nerdo, like he was like, yeah, like you're a mean nerdo, like you're just like a total nerd. So that I appreciated that because it was kind of like, I mean, I've always considered myself maybe nerdy on some levels, or very nerdy on different levels. I don't know. I just like the name. I think it's cool. And first of all, let's introduce you. I mean, you. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to Gabriel García, who is my my best friend. I mean, I say that without hesitation, because we've been lifelong friends since middle school, and we are both comrades in the war zone of art, of the art world, and we both like to collaborate and create, whether it be on the film level, the writing level, the music level, anything creative, you name it. We are kind of like the two heads that put it together. But anyways, you were asking me about the last one, and
it sounded great. I think Moy was kicking ass.
Moy, yeah,
Um,
Moy was Moy was
Moy was
digging it.
really Moy was digging it. And I think the one thing I did get from it was the that I wanted to see the episode. So as you guys were talking about it, you guys were discussing, we're always going to filter things through what's going on in our
Yeah.
life as I gathered with you guys, but it made me want to watch the episode.
Yeah, which I
I
think
was like, oh,
is kind of a
it's
plus,
good.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my thought too, was, when we got into it, it was that it makes you want to watch them, and even more, I mean, Moy right now, he had never really watched an DuckTales episode,
Hmm.
and now
Yeah.
he's hooked. He's been watching, cuz we have it on Disney Plus. So he's like been
Yeah.
watching, he's been binging on it, like just watching episode after episode. And I'm like,
Well,
oh,
no,
dang, like the vast majority of, I mean, all of DuckTales was, I think, greatly written, greatly produced, and it's really well done, and
there's an episode where I think it's a continuation, like it's a couple of episodes, if I'm not mistaken, and there's a dog. I don't know if you remember it, but they're
yeah,
they're looking for gold. I mean, they're always looking for gold, I think, but it's a hidden treasure.
I think it's the
And the
one
guy
we,
has he has a
yeah,
voice like, and he has like a
it's
mustache.
an old dog, yeah. That's the
Yeah,
one we just watched, actually, yeah,
that was a bad. I remember
yeah,
like really poignantly liking that episode.
yeah. That one,
That in the jungle, they're like that's exactly up my alley, you know?
yeah, and I think the dog was I think he was Mexican actually, or like,
Yeah,
it had like either he was
un
uh
Latino,
it was a
he
Latino,
estaba
yeah,
hablando like this,
yeah, yeah.
something like this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's he's talking about the episode we just watched, Moy, of Ducktales. The one with the golden you know
Nugget, is
the
it?
golden disc, and when Scrooge gets there, it's like booby trapped, and the dog with the mustache.
Yes.
Remember that? He's like, yeah.
He's
He's
not whatever, dude.
So I switched this up a little bit. We originally we had planned to maybe watch the first two episodes of Gargoyles, but I went with another. I went with another one that I felt like
Okay.
had like a sort of a high mark as well. At least, anyways, on the reviews I read about.
Sure.
And this is an episode called "Eye of the Beholder,"
Ooh, ooh,
and
ooh.
it's from season 2. It was episode 7, and it aired back in September 13th of 1995. So
Wow.
1995. Yeah. What were we doing in 1995, dude? We were in high
In
school.
1995, we were, yeah, I think we were, so we graduated in 96, so it might have been our senior year. We were in a musical band, just trying to find our way through life, really. Probably doing some things that we wouldn't want our kids to do. But we stayed still, I think, noble and didn't go all the way to hell.
Right.
We weren't that bad. We're doing all right.
We were doing okay. Yeah. It's interesting
Yeah.
because I mean, we weren't kids anymore. We were, considered, I guess, young adults now. And but what attracted you or hooked you to this show, and what
Well,
made you love it?
the interesting thing about the Gargoyles and it is that, as you maybe alluded to earlier, we weren't watching it, or I wasn't watching it as a little kid like your son there. Like you said, we were in high school, so that means we were about 16, 17. So it was actually a dramatic show, just animated. And the themes are pretty, heavy, if you want to call it that. We'll get into it as we watch the episode, but
Yeah,
there's themes that are for more of adult, heavier, just heavier, that impact you more than, just watching animals run around or something.
for sure. Yeah, man. And what does it? Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we watch the first sort of part of it? I think that leads through the also the credits. The opening scene,
Yeah.
and then we can kind of go from there and see what memories it kind of conjures up and stuff.
We are gargoyles.
That is smooth. I'm gonna pause right there real quick, and then so we can dive in a little bit. Damn, I remember we watched
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pilot, a couple weeks back. But that was like a real intro, I think, to the show, and it's nice because it kind of it brings you up to speed, right? It lets you know kind of like the premise and how it all got started. But yeah, what did you get from all that? What were some feelings or memories or ideas?
The premise is betrayal, is there's death. Um and it's pretty much, I know maybe I'm giving something up, but some type of genocide to the gargoyle race that only some survive.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty heavy stuff.
yeah, it's
And
heavy, heavy in tone for
you
sure.
hear the score come in, right? It's a mature symphony. It's just geared toward. It's gonna make you ask you some questions about humanity right off the bat.
Yeah, man. All right, so here we go. We're watching the first part of Gargoyles.
On gargoyles. It would appear that your plans have gone awry, sir.
Hmm.
All right, let's pause right here because I think
So when well, I mean, just to go straight into the story, you have Elisa's a detective, right? She's a cop. And I say she's a little fearless because in the first episode, she goes and meets the gargoyles and befriends them. Now you have a werewolf running loose, which creates one dynamic. The other dynamic is that obviously Thanatos
That's
who proposed to the young lady there, um, is scheming. And
yeah.
so already it's two layered right there. Yeah,
Xanatos, is that that was his name?
that's the name. This is Xanatos.
Xanatos.
And
Okay, sounds like
so, and
a pill or something you have to take. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, some kind of Greek pill, but
Hmm.
they're going for a level of coolness too, right? And it's just the colors are dark, and even Xanatos, he's got the goatee, he's got the long hair, he's got the
Yeah.
girl, he's got the money, and he's got the cool line, right? He's like, we're gonna go with plan A. It's time for plan A. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
doesn't have time for plan B. He's going to plan A. But this is
Yeah.
building up to a werewolf, a red badass werewolf, gonna go toe to toe with
Yeah. Like
with Goliath.
and I kind of remember this episode a little bit. I mean, like I said previously, I wasn't super into gargoyles, but I did appreciate it. I appreciated it because it had that sort of tone that Batman the animated series
Hmm.
had.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so I do remember this episode, dude, and and yeah, I mean the setup is kind of like the dude Xanatos. I mean he's the guy who brings the gargoyles kind of like out of their slumber, right? I mean he's the guy who commissions the gargoyles to he gives them another
yeah. So
chance to
to
live. And
absolutely so I I would probably have to sit back and watch a lot of these episodes, but to lay a foundation down for listeners, it's who maybe haven't seen it or who just want to reminisce. So the Gargoyles were in Scotland. I think the premise is, I don't know, thousands of years ago. I might be wrong on that, but it's a
medieval
long time
times,
ago.
yeah,
Yeah. And they lived in a castle and they turned to stone during the day, which, just by default, you need somebody to protect you during the day. And humans did this, right? A group of humans in this castle, especially a human.
right,
So at night when they came up, they battled to protect the castle. They were still, uh, part of that castle. They belonged to it. They loved it to put it, blankly. But the queen wasn't too down for them. So in a sleep, they betray the gargoyles, send Goliath and some others to go find the enemy, but in turn, the enemy kills all the gargoyles. And I'm running through it real quick,
yeah,
oversimplification. A wizard then casts a spell on the gargoyles that they would never wake up unless the castle went above the clouds.
right.
That's where the multi-billionaire Sanatos comes in, and for his own, as I think we see in the cartoon, for his own malicious needs, brings him back to life with the premise that, oh, I thought you guys were real smooth and we can work together. But he's got some underlining
So he,
reasons for bringing him back to life.
so he has ulterior motives as far as like why he's even. I thought originally it was because he was just simply intrigued and read up on the history of it and wanted to, you know, venture. It was an adventure for him. But yeah, this guy is a bad guy then, right?
I think
Xanatos.
he presents it like that, but it towards the first couple of episodes, you start seeing that he's got other things in mind.
Okay, gotcha. Cool, man. Yeah, see, that's very interesting. I mean, yeah, the whole premise of Gargoyles, I think, is super into the idea of mistrust, right, and betrayal,
Yeah,
and that yeah, you just you can't you don't know who you're gonna trust, and really the
that
only people that are quote unquote innocent are the beast, right? The people that are that you should be scared of, people that you should fear, people that I
you
mean,
you could look at. I think that's a great point. For it's a big, it's a big challenge that they're going for in the cartoon because obviously betrayal, but betrayal, though it was by one person, it is perceived by the only female gargoyle as a betrayal by humanity, meaning we're different, they're different, which is popping off right now like crazy.
Yeah.
But so they wanna, they mean this woman, I forget her name, she'll come up.
Yeah.
She wants to pretty much eradicate humans.
Yeah.
And so all of them, like they killed, all her family, the gargoyles that survived. The irony there, or the beauty of that, Goliath, while he did suffer loss, he meets Elisa, who's here, who is human. And so he's like, well, as we all probably should think, not everybody who is of a certain race is a piece of shit. Some people are smooth, some are not.
Right.
And that was presented in the 90s. And obviously, that's what's going on in the country and the planet. It's in the
Yeah,
news now.
it's kind of uncanny that we are, looking and dissecting gargoyles and its theme, because yeah, that theme, when this show came out, think about that time period. I mean, we have O.J. Simpson, we have the riots from the Rodney
I think
King.
Rodney King was, I think, in 92, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. And this is a couple of years later. So
Yeah, so I think repercussions from all that, I think definitely. I mean, I can't remember exactly who the writing team was on this, but it definitely, it always comes into play where reality will affect, art, and art affects reality, and so yeah, I mean, it's kind of uncanny that we are here. We are again in this sort of the same space, right? And
yeah,
and how tiresome too that nothing. I mean, things have changed, but things haven't changed, and I mean,
yeah,
it's unfortunate, and that racism, I think, is something that just
yeah. And
will not go away. It's not gonna. It's gonna take
yeah,
a long time for this
I think that
to change.
the there's a there's an episode where and I know we're focusing on this one, but it's still themed in Gargoyles, where I wish I could get her name, but this female gargoyle, and the gargoyle fans are probably going to be pissed off at me for forgetting, but she
Was she Goliath's
is,
girl? The one that.
she was. So she's a
Okay,
little jelly of a Lisa.
gotcha.
But ironically, she's not on the poster over here, but she's trying to manipulate one of the other younger gargoyles, right?
Right.
She's like, what are you doing? Trying to be, I think he wants to become a biker and
Okay.
get into the biker theme
Yeah.
with humans. And she's like, you're trying to hang out with these people. These people kill their family. And he says, if I remember correctly, something like, they're not all like that.
Yeah.
Like, this is in a cartoon, right? And then she says, okay, well then go, because there's an accident and they're on the tower because they can float. They don't fly, they float.
Yeah.
And she's looking down and she goes, oh, you think it's okay? She said, go hang out with them then. Go down there right now to see how they're going to treat you.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, that's true, because they look different. They're literally monsters perceived. But it's thought provoking. Like, you think you're okay? Then go down there. It's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Go really try walking through what you think
And yeah, and
is
they
your
even go
reality.
into the writing team, as you said, now they go into something, into some of the layers of humanity. Because this woman, this she gargoyle, we'll call her,
Yeah.
takes this guy and puts him next to a window where there's some domestic violence.
Right.
And it's like, these are the humans you like? Then they go somewhere else where a man is not shoplifting, but takes the purse from a lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
The writers are putting this on, and then they show, well, if you think they're okay, then go hang out with them. And I think ultimately, I don't remember the end of that episode, but I'm thinking that the writing team kind of brought it back to, let's look at the individual. And because we talk about racism, generalization is probably the beginning seeds of racism, right? All Mexicans are like that. All black dudes are like that. All white dudes. That's not
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
There's people who are
There's shades of gray everywhere. You know,
absolute,
it's not so,
absolutely.
one
And
sided. Yeah.
yeah, and there's probably the biggest theme in that is probably poverty, and that's a different conversation of why people are impoverished and where you see crime and all this.
Yeah. But I do
But
believe.
that's
I do believe that on a personal human being level that there's shades of gray to it, right? Like there might be
absolutely.
some racism that lingers or that is instilled in somebody just because of their upbringing and what they but they might not, they'll grow into not believing that stuff, and but I do think that there is a racism, there's like a systemic racism, right?
Right.
And
I
so
think,
that is sort of beyond what humans are capable of. That's sort of like another layer there, that is more like, okay, we built foundations and systems and organizations almost
yeah,
on this thought and on this belief, right? And that is something that is a little more black and white to me, where it's like you can't see, okay, this is sort of laying down a path for people on how they think, on how they should behave, maybe on how they should react to things, and that sort of shapes people. That will start to shape also how you. So you need to have like a good open mind, right, and say like, okay,
yeah.
this is the vibe. These are the messages I'm getting from institutions or things all around me, or
Hmm.
just even messaging, and
Yet
how do you filter all those things, right? So
that's really almost it's impossible to modify things outside of you. And you, as you put it earlier, there's racism lingers and it's all over. Unfortunately, the it's going to start at home, right? You telling your boy,
yeah,
be able to recognize if people are noble or if people are not
yeah,
independent. Like it doesn't. We're right here in San Diego, so right next to the border. So I can't say that I've gone through that. But from my vantage point, which is can only be mine, I teach my kids,
yeah.
humans are either noble or they're not.
But at the same time, we also have to kind of keep reminding our own selves, right? Like sometimes
Hmm.
I have to check myself and think about, okay, I'm thinking of so and so because he did this or that, and I'll slip into the past thoughts of like, okay, well, it's related
Yeah.
to his background, his it all boils down to just
Yeah.
a wiring that we've all had in our past about cultures and
And I
different
think it's
races. It's the hope that we all gauge people by their character,
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
by their actions, really. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but anyways, we can. I mean, this is a heavy topic right now. This is like big everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm glad we're having these discussions. Because I think it is gonna just. I think this is like another wave of history happening right now that is gonna sort of
Yeah.
turn the page forward, right? I'm hopeful that
I
all.
hope so. Yeah.
I'm
That's what we hope.
I mean, I think what happened in the early '90s with the Rodney King beating, also propelled us forward, right? It accomplished something for people
Yeah.
to be angry, to we need to get angry at some point in order to to make things happen, to change things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because it is injustice, you know, it is.
Yeah.
And I think a vast majority of people see it. You know, they can't see it, and so. But anyways, we can let's continue this conversation. Let's talk about it, but
Sure.
let's keep it in the context of this show and watch the other. Let's
Absolutely.
watch the other piece of Gargoyles right now. So let me see. We'll continue on here.
Besides mean and hungry? No.
You could have been hurt.
Now that I look at it, Xanadu and this guy Owen, I mean that I see them as like both these oppressors, right? These guys that are kind of creating these experiments behind the scenes in the dark or high up in the castle, and I get the vibe that originally I thought these guys were part of the Gargoyles team, like they funded the Gargoyles or they wanted the well-being of the Gargoyles, but no, that's not the case. Yeah,
I forget exactly. I'm thinking so that if Thanatos wanted some kind of world domination or something, and he wanted a weapon.
I see.
So and Owen is his, his butler, butler slash, random task kind of guy, to steal a line from the Myers movies. But they created a werewolf, and those guys that were attacking him are part of Sanatos's like army. Like this guy is, legit wants to create some chaos.
Yeah.
And it also plays into the millionaire who, has just too much money and wants to do some crazy stuff.
All right, let's continue the clip because I'm kind of intrigued with what's going on here.
The Eye of Odin.
I've just given it away. Well, your manipulations have failed, Xanatos.
Oof.
I don't suppose you have a plan D.
Nice. All right, we'll pause
He's
right
always
there.
carried around Elisa like a baby.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. He carries Elisa everywhere with him.
And when we look at even Thanatos, so we're bashing Thanatos. He's criminal minded, just has some kind of maybe dictator kind of vibe that he wants to control. But he's the one that brought the Gargoyles back to life, though.
Right. Yeah.
So there's that too.
We definitely don't know his intentions yet, right? And we don't know. I mean, he's
and independent of his intentions, he did something good.
Right.
Even if he wants to, get him to kill all of New York, his first thing was to bring back to life, based on study. He found this curse that he could break. And so this evil dude did bring back the Gargoyles, which is interesting to, when you first watch the show, the first couple of episodes, like, this guy's cool, man. He brought the Gargoyles to life.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, but now he wants to do something else.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, for a cartoon,
some character development, right? Did some profoundness to the characters.
Yeah, he's a multifaceted
yeah
character. I mean, he's
cartoon character.
He's a likable villain or a untrustworthy hero, right? So
and they always keep him cool too. The writers, you as we're seeing with his lines too. There's an element of slick.
Yeah,
we're gonna go to Plan B.
Yeah,
they're gonna do my work for me. It's like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's smooth.
Always level headed. Yeah.
He's smooth as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's check out the
let's
next
finish
half.
it off. Yeah.
We got about 8 more minutes of it. So
this time we won't be your pawns, Xanatos.
Not a good night for you.
Fuck yeah, this is awesome.
she won't last that long.
Seems like he's really concerned for her, huh?
So yeah, I mean the guy. Okay, we'll pause right there real quick. Yeah, that's. I mean, again, we kind of just jumped back into the this character Xanatos, and that he's multifaceted, right? Like,
Yeah, he's intriguing right now. Yeah.
I mean, maybe his intentions are not so evil, you know. But he is messing with people, right? So it's like,
Yeah. Yes, like
you can't trust him.
presented.
You can't trust him.
Like we presented earlier, that maybe he did want to give her the eye of Odin for insight, but now maybe he's really concerned for her. That doesn't take away that he gave it to her maybe because he wanted some power.
Yeah.
It's not just this or that. It can be a flux of emotions to say, well, yeah, I did want that, but now I'm really concerned. I want your help.
Yeah.
You see Elisa say, man, I know this guy. So don't even think about it. And he then wants to, touch Goliath emotionally. You know what it's like to lose somebody. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Somebody died. Someone's going to look. So yeah, definitely
definitely manipulation on some level, so.
Or he really liked. No, it's probably manipulation. Let's see.
We'll find out. Let's see how it wraps up.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Okay, we got a celebration. It's Halloween. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween in New York City.
Mm.
All right. We'll wrap this up. All right, dude. So yeah. Okay. That was the Eye of the Beholder that we just watched, and
so it turns out at the end, Xanatos, was slightly, doing something,
shady.
Good. With some
shady and good.
with some benevolence there to it. So.
Yeah, I think his intentions were good, but just again, he might have gotten a little greedy, I guess, on what his actions were doing there. But yeah, it was a good wrap up. I mean, I think as far as the episode goes. So Gabriel, I want to thank you for being on the show, and we only scratched, I think, the surface of. We talked a little bit about race, and because it just kind of brought the theme up. We're hitting the tip of the iceberg, I think, on the conversation, but it runs so much deeper that I hope we continue talking about race and how I think it's a good turning point for humanity, really.
You're very welcome, buddy. I mean, we're gonna be doing this, hopefully for a long time, and yeah, I'm with you. Conversations that we have. They definitely are profound and deep and have many layers, and we touched some of those today. And yeah, the theme of the episode did, emphasize differences in people and how people deal with them. Art does that, creativity does that, and expression does that. It reflects life. But no, you're welcome. Thank you for having me on. And 2 rules, baby. You gotta be, and you gotta smooth. Put them together. Be smooth.
Be smooth.